Hi, I'm Roger Montgomery from rogermontgomery.com and welcome to another episode 4 of Value.able TV. I hope you've been not participating in the folly of the market, but instead taking advantage of it. Of course, just remember, I have absolutely no idea where the stock market is going to go, and that's not my job, nor is it your job as a long-term investor. Our job is to pick extraordinary businesses and to purchase them at what we believe to be large discounts to intrinsic value. If we can put together a portfolio of extraordinary businesses whose earnings march upward over the years, then over time our portfolio should follow the intrinsic values of those businesses. So on that note, I'd like to answer some of the questions that have been asked about the recent results of JB Hi-Fi. I pay particular attention to cash flow from operations. I'm interested in knowing the business cash flow and what it's actually generating. And JB Hi-Fi is a powerhouse when it comes to generating cash. One of the things I noticed was that there was a big jump in inventory, and that had a detrimental impact on cash flow from operations. So what senior management told me was that last year they were cycling very low inventory numbers, and that's the reason for the big jump this year. Last year they, not literally, but ran down stock or ran out of stock or didn't order enough, and for whatever reason they simply didn't purchase as much stock. But if you have a look at the inventory on a per store basis, then over the years what you find is it's fairly consistent, about $2.2 to $2.6 million for each store, and that really hasn't changed, so I'm not concerned about that. That can be used to either increase that profit figure or reduce it. And remember, the accounting profit is an accounting construct. It's not necessarily a reflection of the economic performance of the business. And so it's very important to have a look at cash flow. And quite simply, if you've got a business with strong cash flow, well, you've got a business that can do some smart things with capital allocation. Things like dividends, buybacks, acquisitions, the reduction of prices in a fiercely competitive environment such as retail right now. More cash flow means more power. I think the future for JB Hi-Fi is very interesting, partly because I think there's about 3 to 4 years left of store openings at the current rate, which is 13 to 16 stores a year. And when they reach the point where they've got 214 stores across Australia, there'll be a lot of cash freed up, because when they open 13 to 14 stores a year, it's $45 to $50 million of capital expenditure to open those stores, and they simply won't need to do that kind of expenditure once they've reached maturity. So what does that mean? Well, it means that there'll be free cash from not opening new stores. There'll be additional cash from the maturity of those stores. There'll also be additional cash because they will have paid down a large part of their debt from the recent buyback, and they won't have that buyback again. So what will they do with that money? Well, they can do 3 different things. The first thing is increase the dividend. Second thing is buy back more shares. Third thing is make a silly acquisition. Whether or not the intrinsic value, which I believe for 2012 is $17 and for 2013 is $20, whether that intrinsic value continues to increase will be largely dependent on what management does with that cash flow that's going to be freed up once they've put down their 214 stores. Be interesting to see how that goes. I think they'll do some very sensible things, but we'll have to wait and see. Finally, a special thank you to Ryan G, our Value.able graduate, who came up with a modern alternative to the British posters that said keep calm and carry on. He says stay focused and be prepared. And in this market, I think that's very sound advice. And for those of you who haven't purchased a copy of Value.able yet, remember our A1 service is coming soon, and the only way you'll get an invitation to it is if you've got your copy of Value.able and you've read it and become a Value.able graduate. So make sure you've got your copy, and I'll see you on another episode of Value.able TV.